Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a sharp game to share with you from 1975. On the white end, Mikhail Tal playing against Mikhail Stean. Okay, the opening we have here starts out as in English, but we are transposing into a Tarrasch defense. King Bishop's out and about. Same side's castles game, typical out of this opening. And Bishop G5. There's a focus with this line on D5. Direct pressure by the knight, indirect by bishop and queen. And with white's last move, looking to undermine a supporter of D5. Tension resolved. Bishop questioned. We're now looking at an isolated queen pawn position. Where would be a good spot for the bishop? E3, holding up any possibilities for a D4 advance, making sure this pawn doesn't go wild. So D4 is under control. The bishop is stable on E3. Rook E8 is played here. I say it's stable. A move to touch on here. If it's questioned with knight G4, it's not a good idea. By black to play in this way, there's knight takes D5. And white is prepared to meet knight captures bishop, not with the knight recapture, because that would hang D4 with queen or knight captures. The idea would be to meet this move with knight captures C6. And the best line from here is to take the knight, and now this knight recaptures. We would be looking at a pawn up position for white, black with the bishop pair, and black also with split queenside pawns. The point is that if knight captures queen here, knight D captures bishop would be there with check. In the end, white is going to be coming out ahead, up a piece. Okay, we don't have to worry, in short, about knight G4, at least at this moment. It's a healthy move here, rook on a half open file. The queen now hitting D5 directly. She's kicked from B3, remains developed here on C2, so there's a bit of a trade-off with this move. Knight has a new square in mind, let's say, C4, at the cost of releasing some pressure on that center point, D4. There's an intersection square here for white, F5. Okay. Bishop G4, bishop questioned, a very flexible piece right here. H3, a good move to insert. Show your hand, where do you really want to go? Also, healthy, more long-term to have another square for that king. It decides on the D7 post here. Stays trained on F5. Follow up rook A to D1, rook A to C8. Knight hops into F5, bishop F8. Pop quiz. How would you continue here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, a question here. Can Tal successfully capture D5? The answer, yes. This is top. Now, before you can play such a move, you have to anticipate this follow-up rook E5 with a fork. You better be sure you have a response there. Tal does. In fact, that is the move played in the game. It is a losing move. Only one winning response in reply to that. Before I touch on that, here's the top line from here. Computer goes for the knight for bishop exchange, wants to swing the bat completely around on this earlier knight A5, wants to hop into the forward square here, invasive square C4. And from here it's saying to double up rooks. Bishop takes knight. You're on the queen here. Queen takes, and then it says allow this structure here. Now it's not a very appealing structure to take on as white, that is for sure. Here's something I questioned along the lines, or along the way here with this line. At this point here, after knight c4, I wondered, why not just back the bishop off? why are we allowing that to happen to our kingside structure? Well, Why not go to c1, in other words, to tame the knight's forward moves? It's because knight b6 is there to give the rook a kick from its defense of the knight. And after it falls back, queen f6 is strong. Knight b6 is also alleviating the queen of a defensive role. She doesn't have to watch over the bishop anymore. And now there's some problem here on the light squares. Okay. This is a top line at this stage here, kicking off with knight captures bishop. How it is played in this game, black goes for this fork idea. What is your way out? Well, we see that the move in the game, knight captures h6, check. Now, it's easy to maybe cut out any further calculation. Let's say at this point here, after bishop captures d5, you may say to yourself, oh, after that, there's rook to e5, there's a fork, I don't have a good response. But before the fork here, there is currently a pin. There's a pin present, and you can use that to your advantage in this case. Rook e5, there's knight takes h6, effectively removing this 2-point pawn. Has to recapture, and now we get to exploit the pinned f7 pawn. The f pawn falls. What are we looking at now? A black king position that is completely destroyed. A 3 pawns versus knight imbalance. Let's see the conversion here. It is not smooth all the way. After rook c6, Tal stumbles for just a moment. His response here is rook d5. This gives black a window to apparently hold this position. Black does not find the only move in response to that. What would be better is bishop f4, bishop captures pawn, or knight to d5. This is what the computer has its eye on, trying to influence the knight, which is currently stuck. Any knight move, queen g8 would be mate. The move in the game, rook d5, gives black an opportunity for this exchange sacrifice on e3. It's considered an equalish position after that. I want to point out that this is maybe one of the first moves to consider. It is forceful. Puts pressure on the rook, pressure on the knight, restriction on the queen, keeps the pin, and paves the way for that final piece to enter in on the attack. Okay, turns out black could go ahead with this exchange sacrifice and play bishop to g7. No more tricks on h6 with that dangerous dark square bishop removed. Yeah, it says rook d4, rook d3, around an equal evaluation. We're looking at what? 3 pawns and a rook versus the 2 minors. But these 2 pawns really just act as one. Yeah, 2 pawns and a rook versus the 2 minors. This is considered holdable for black. Okay, a missed opportunity here for black. Swiping the bishop, ends up playing queen e7, and now bishop to d4. This is beautiful. This is a fantastic diagonal. Big problem here for Team Black now. Knight can't move. We got mate on g8. Rook, any rook move except for rook g5. Watching over g8, any rook move. And we're looking at mate on g8. Knight is pins. So these 2 pieces pretty much stuck. Knight c4 is the try from here. And what's the plan? Looks very complicated here, but just recognizing what do we have going on here with this diagonal? A pin. So this rook here pinned. Let's hit that pinned piece, target the pinned piece, f4, and this one's lost from here. The rest of this game, we're just collecting material and converting, consolidating. Let's see how that looks. Bishop g7, bishop captures rook, knight captures bishop, rook captures knight, queen f8, and let's just put the bishop on a safe square. Right around the corner, there is a knight jump to target the queen. We see just that in this game. Knight g4 is played here. If bishop captures pawn instead, okay, we could afford to give up some material and still be winning. The try here is with knight g4. Queen is hit, rook is hit. Black does, in the end, get this exchange back. Knight captures rook, played here. Notice where the queen went, not just to any square. The queen is keeping pressure on something, giving some direction here to black. There's a problem on d7. Knight captures rook, pawn captures knight, queen is hit, lands a check, king h2, things are cool. Tal still up, material, 3 pawns here. Bishop e8, and from here, the passer takes a step. Now, if you try immediately for this battery, bishop g6 is there. That is an intersection square. However, once this pawn here takes a step, no longer is there that intersection on g6. So this is now right around the corner. Black's try here is to disturb the queen, rook d6, but after queen e4, black resigns. You're down material, queen beautiful right here in the center, and there isn't really a good response to this follow-up. Bishop c2, queen sneaking in there to h7 for mate. I tested out rook d4. You don't have to go too far, really. You could go into Pac-Man mode if you really wanted to. Nothing wrong with queen captures b7 there. And also, if let's say bishop c6 is played, we could play this one out. If bishop c6, you could actually ignore this threat and advance this dangerous passed pawn. And there would actually be a pretty cool mate at the end of this line here. Queen check, king g6, bishop check, king g5, and knight captures bishop. Not just a fork, but that is checkmate. So that would be a pretty finish there. But in this one, we only go as far as queen e4 and black resigns. So what did you think of this one? Feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.